Hey everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my July book haul video. If you see kittens doing kitten stuff in the background, I've just given up on life. They can do whatever they want at this point. I don't care anymore. They're like 4 months old and still absolutely insane. Look at Clawdia. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, she's busy doing something that isn't too destructive. I'm happy. So we're going to go through the books that I've accumulated in the last month, some new ones, and then a few used ones as usual. So yes, I'm excited about these actually. I have a really good feeling. Let's start with the one that is literally at the bottom because I'm dumb. I wanted to start with this one because it is an unboxing. I don't know if the deal is still on or not. I was really shocked, but I went on Chapters Indigo website and they had a book for really cheap that I had just mentioned that I wanted to read, and now I'm noticing that there's a sticker on it, but whatever. $6, so it wasn't a mistake. I'm gonna have to remove that, but I recently did a video where I talked about books with time loops. Sorry about that. I just noticed that my AC was on and probably was loud in the background. So $6, and if you have the card, you can have 10% off. So I paid $5.40 plus tax for it. I was so excited. I mentioned in the video about time loops that I wanted to read this, and I saw it on the website. I was like, yeah, $6 for sure. So this is Neverworld Wake, and like I said, time loop, but this one I believe it's a group of children or teenagers that die in a car accident, and they wake up kind of in between life and death, and they keep reliving the same day, and I believe they have to choose one of them that will escape. So they all know each other except that one other kid that isn't really explaining how they died. So I'm curious to see how that's gonna go. My only worry was that this is a YA book, and I feel like I'm kind of a little bit over it. I feel like they can be more hit and miss now. I'm less forgiving now that I'm older. But a few of you actually mentioned that it doesn't really read like a YA book, so I'm really excited. And again, the timing, oh my gosh, the timing and the price was just perfect. So obviously I grabbed it. This is why they don't have access to this room when I'm not there. That plus they eat all the books they can find. Might as well continue. Oh my god, you can't see her, but she's actually behind the classics. Oh my gosh. Okay. Might as well continue with new books. I saw this one going around. I feel like people either love it or hate it, and I decided to crack. I'll probably do like a YouTube made me do it because a few of you also mentioned that you've been reading this one or been wanting my opinion. Fourth Wing, which I just know that this is an adult high fantasy book, and that's it. I refuse to look into it more. The cover's pretty, but it's just a thick classic fantasy book. I believe that there was yeah, dragons. So that's basically all I needed to know. I feel like I like books with dragons, but I'm still looking for favorites. So far, I really like The Priory of the Orange Tree, but that's, you know. But I believe the author usually writes romance books, which is why I was like, I don't know, but you know what? I'm going to go with the hype. I'm going to try it. And worst case scenario, it will make it to my worst books of the year. So win-win. The next book I bought used, which I have been looking for mystery thriller books, and I've been trying to look for ones that will have tropes that I usually enjoy. I'm really trying to find favorites, and it's not been easy, but no exit. I saw on a list about books with the trope of like people are lock room? Is it lock room trope? Basically people in the room, something happened, maybe someone dies, and it has to be one of the people in the room. That's one of the tropes that I like. And I believe this one is that a kid was kidnapped and there's a blizzard. So it has to be one of the people that just don't know each other. And I actually offered this one as a possible pick for the book club on Patreon, but a lot of you told me that this screams winter. So I agree. We're going to wait for like November, December or something, and I'll offer it again so we can read this. It's not too big. It has great reviews. I feel like I've seen this title, not this cover. Claudia, are you reorganizing my bookshelves? She doesn't like my classic books, clearly. So oh my gosh. So yes, I'm hoping that it will work for me. I feel like it's been such a struggle with mystery thriller horror books. So hopefully this one will hit the mark. A lot of you were excited, so It will come back whenever it's not so hot. I feel like I've been sweating for last month. I don't even know why I bother straightening my hair because it gets like super poofy super quickly. But anyway, this other one, I was so excited to see it. I don't read a lot of comic books or how do you call those? Graphic novels? I've read like one, and it was the one with the aliens, that saga. And that's literally the only one I've ever read, at least on this channel. So when I saw this one, even though it's a little damaged, I try to only get the ones that are in great condition because I use Bookshop a lot. But this one, I've never seen it, so I had to own it. V for Vendetta, I've seen the movie, loved it. I mean, Natalie Portman. So I wanted to try it. And again, it is a graphic novel, so I feel like I can dip my toe again in that genre and see if it works for me. I feel like it might just be a change of pace, and I feel like during the summer, the 2 last brain cells that are struggling so hard, that should work. That should work. So I'm really excited. Again, I love the movie, so I feel like it could be a good book. The next one, I'm going to be honest, I got it because of the cover. I feel like when you use book shopping, often you just see the spine, which I feel like the writing style, the font, I should say, was appealing to me. Red obviously stood out, and then I saw the cover and I was like, that one's cool. Mother Thing, which, God, Charlie found the container of treats. And he's trying to open it. So the summary is a darkly funny take on mothers and daughters about a woman who must take drastic measures to save her husband and herself from the vengeful ghost of her mother-in-law. There you go. So it sounded funny, it sounded different, and I wanted to try it. Plus, let's be real, I wanted to own this. So I'll keep you updated. If you have read this or any of these books, let me know how you feel about them so I can know, you know, where I should put them on my TBR. Oh, high on my TBR they should be. The next book, for some reason, I thought this was a classic. Maybe it's a modern classic. I mean, it did win the Pulitzer Prize, and I've been trying to start looking for alternatives to my Goodreads reading challenge for next year. I'll probably go with like Nebula or like the SFF, you know, science fiction and fantasy prizes. I feel like that will appeal to me more, and I'll make it a little fun challenge next year. But I'm trying to just try different ones to see what works for me. And yeah, for some reason, I thought this was a classic. Middlesex. There you go. I realized that while I knew the title, I had never heard what it was about. So when I read the back about, you know, the character that isn't like other girls, not like that though. I realized what I just said. The character is basically intersex, and I feel like I've never read a book like that had a character like that. So I'm trying to diversify a little bit my reading, and I feel like that sounded interesting. So a little bit historical fiction, I feel like, 1967. So I'm trying to dip my toes back into historical fiction as long as it's not World War II. So I feel like this was a good, and let's be real, okay? I feel like more books need to be the satisfying floppy paperbacks. So yeah, I feel like this was very satisfying to hold in my hand. This one I bought online but used. Does it count as a used book? I think so. I talked about this book recently too in my time loop video, and this one won the Nobel Prize. I didn't know at the time. I received it. I was like, this is a sign. Life and death are wearing me out. And this one, the main character dies and he goes to hell, and then he keeps being like reborn in all the animals of the Chinese zodiac. Interesting trope, a little bit time loopy, and I need to try it. It's pretty chunky. It's a heavy book. This one is like hefty. It's like 500 something pages. And again, it won the Nobel Prize. So again, I'm trying to test different prizes, seeing what works for me. And that sounded cool. So I grabbed that one. The next one is actually a book a friend read and gave to me because she knows that I will probably not read it within the next 5 years. It takes me a long time, okay? I hate when people tell me they're going to read a book that I recommend and then they don't do it for years, and I do the same thing. So like, I'm learning to be reasonable here. But Emotional Labor, The Invisible Work, Shaping Our Lives, and How to Claim Our Power. So this is basically something that I feel like I will want to recommend to other friends. We were talking about it and how invisible work, invisible labor, emotional labor is something that is still very present in relationships. It doesn't have to be only romantic relationships, but it's often the case with straight couples, basically. So that's something that she discussed with her husband, and I thought it was an interesting look into it. This is a recent book. This was published in 2023. and she really enjoyed it, and she thought I would too. So I'm basically the friend that will give people recommendations. I have other books, not here, it's higher, nonfiction shelf that I need to read about like attachments and all that stuff, because I like to give recommendations to friends. So I have one more fantasy. This one is really, really short. Saw it on Goodreads, actually. I feel like Goodreads sometimes give you a recommendation and you're like, probably not. But this one sounded cool. I didn't realize how short it was going to be. I ordered it online. It's like 100 pages. And I feel like I used to balance out the really thick books that I've been reading with shorter ones. And I stopped doing that. So I'm hoping that maybe reading a couple ones could help if I ever go back into reading slump, which hopefully not. But I've been reading a lot of bad books because of certain challenges, so this might be helpful. This was about a journalist who exposed corruption across the interstellar commonwealth. So maybe it's more sci-fi? Yeah, it's probably more sci-fi than fantasy. So yes, I wanted to try something new. I've been trying to stay up to date with new releases while still balancing out, reading the older ones I have on my shelf, but it sounded cool. And then next I have a nonfiction that was also recommended to me. I read Invisible Women, and this was recommended to me as like an alternative or something else to pick up. This is Feminism Interrupted. It's about disrupting power. So basically talking about feminism, capitalism, exploring state violence against women, reproductive justice, transmisogyny, sex wars, gendered Islamophobia, and much more, and just talking about gendered liberation. So that sounded cool. It's not too big. I've seen actually this book mentioned a couple times, and I've just been trying to own more physical books of topics that just interest me. Again, I'm trying to get my shelves to a point where they represent my taste, and I've noticed that certain topics, especially nonfiction, I really like having the physical copy, and other ones I really like listening to audiobooks from the library. So I've been balancing both. Quick little book haul. I'm still looking forward to a few books that I have ordered, including the third book in a series that I'm currently reading, going back to fantasy for real. And I would love to hear any recommendations you might have on topics that I mentioned, especially mystery thrillers. I'm feeling more and more desperate. I'm trying to look online for lists of books that might be appealing to me, because I really want to read some good ones this fall, because I feel like it's been rough. I haven't found a 5-star in forever, it feels like. I feel like the last one I found, it wasn't a 5 stars, but it was pretty high. Okay, I'm the one making a mess now. This one, Sour Candy, it wasn't a 5 stars, but it was a really strong one. And it's really, really short, which usually not a fan of really short horror books. I feel like they feel like a skeleton of a story. So yes, if you have any recommendations, especially if you have mystery thrillers with a hint of sci-fi, that's what I'm on the lookout for, because I really enjoyed Wrong Place, Wrong Time. That was one of the last ones that I've really enjoyed. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go back to sweating, and I will be seeing you in my next video, which is probably gonna be a vlog. So we'll talk about some really good books I've been reading, actually. I'm happy with it.